What's up, everybody? Welcome to Greetings from the Garden State, another episode, one of our launch episodes. We're here at the Wright Cut. I'm Mike Ham. We're here with Tim Wright on the campus of Rutgers University in Piscataway, New Jersey. Tim, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Mike. I'm excited, man.
Thank you for having me here. Honestly, full disclosure, as a bald man, this is the first time I've been in a barbershop in a year, and I feel weird sitting in a barber chair.
Right.
It's cool,
right.
Like it's like a throwback kind of thing. But
yes.
Once the hair started to go, then places like this weren't really for me. So.
Exactly. No, you at the perfect place. This can be your second home because our shaving services, man, will get you nice and crispy.
Okay.
Nice ball fade. Everything you need, man. We'll get you right. Yep.
I love it. So maybe after, we'll clean up
see what we can do.
This mess on my face.
Exactly.
But you were a guest on my other show, The Morning Spotlight. We talked a little bit about Dome Audio, your background.
Yes.
But this, we're going to get a little bit more into the Wright Cut because obviously this is focused on New Jersey stuff and all that. So I'm really excited just to learn more. So maybe let's take like your background.
Yes.
So we can kind of talk about maybe some of the things that you've accomplished in your life and then kind of how that ties into a barbershop.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's bring it back to where I was born and raised, Neptune, New Jersey. I was raised by a village. I had a lot of influences from all the way my grandparents down to my parents, my aunts and uncles, my cousins, relatives, and friends. And I was the only child growing up to about 13, and then my brother came into the world. But, I grew up landscaping with my grandparents, and that's where I really developed the importance of hard work, having a vision, seeing something that looks crazy in the yard and then making it look beautiful after, several hours under the sun of just putting that work in. And that's where I just really developed and loved the form of art.
Right.
And then I took that into the classroom, and I prided myself on having the best handwriting, the best projects. I used to have all my friends and classmates wanting to be in my group because they knew what quality I could produce.
Right.
And then at that time, my dad was taking me to the barbershop literally every week to get a fresh cut.
Of course.
And at the age of 13, I experienced a bad haircut. And my dad said, this will never happen again. So he went to buy a pair of clippers. And it was sitting in my room. He cut my hair one time, and I watched how he did it. But I always used to observe the barbers in the shop when I got cut because I love art. It was a form of art.
Right.
But I was just seeing what they doing, and I knew that when people walk out of a barber shop, a hair salon, you look good, you feel good, and it's transformative. And so I just love that component of it because it wasn't just doing it in the yard, but it was actually impacting people.
Yeah, right.
And so
going from cutting grass to cutting hair.
It's, yes, exactly.
Big on cutting things,
yes,
I guess. Yeah.
Exactly. So, right. So I picked up the pair of clippers and I said, I believe in my hand. I believe in myself. Like, I could do this.
Yeah.
Cut my hair. The rest was history. I fell in love with it. Every 3 days I was cutting my hair. And literally I started cutting my friends in my neighborhood. I started, just watching videos on YouTube. It wasn't really no Instagram at that time, no social media. So YouTube was my form of how can I progress in my skills and just learn the art. And I just fell in love with it. Like I couldn't stop.
Yeah.
So I went through high school, and when I got to college here at Rutgers is when I started cutting my teammates' hair. I started cutting kids that represented all parts of the world that came here to Rutgers because it's one of the most diverse schools in the country. Yeah. And so I was just getting this feedback and consumer, what they loved, what they didn't like, and what made them feel good, different textures, just the whole array of hair. And I said, you know what? I love the name Wright. I just feel like it fits with so much stains. And I said, you know what? The Wright Cut. I want to make that a brand. And in my senior year, that's when I did that. And, the coaches used to pop down. I used to cut coaches. I used to cut their children when they brought them in because they never really leave the facility. So they'll bring them in, get cut. And it'll just be like a locker room full of just players, coaches, staff, and we used to talk about it was like really a mini barbershop right in the facility of the Rutgers football. And I said one day when I have the means, I want to come back on campus and I want to open up the first barbershop hair salon on any major campus in the country. And in 2016, I was able to do that. And that was right in the middle of my NFL career. So I spent 6 years in the NFL. Won a Super Bowl with the New England Patriots. I had a pretty solid career. I'm very blessed and grateful with the career I had. But entrepreneurship and disruptive business models is my other passion. Yeah. And so in 2016, I tore my ACL, and I said, okay. NFL stands for not for long. Of course, it's National Football League, but it's truly not for long. What's that next chapter look like? What does the rest of your life look like? And I said, this is an opportunity for me to solidify my foundation and build something. And so I did it. I was able to be here, do my recovery here from my ACL, and foresee my whole vision just manifest in front of me.
Yeah.
And we just celebrated 5 years on September 20th of this year, 2021. And it's just been incredible, you know, in terms of what this is as a staple for the University of Rutgers, for the state of New Jersey, and for everything that we're bringing around hair, culture, you know, making people look good, feel good, and really impacting lives.
Yeah. That was, I mean, I don't know if I can get a better answer than that. We could just stop the episode right now. That was fantastic.
Right. Thank you.
When you cut your own hair, how do you do the back? Like, that's what I would just, even when I'm just shaving my head, I miss the back all the time.
Yeah, so old school mirror. You sit on
but it's always
your
in
counter.
reverse, you know?
I know,
it's
but
like,
if you got that eye, if you got that confidence, like you hold the mirror up and you get the work. And so I've been cutting my own hair for the last 18 years.
Yeah.
And doing it every week. I cut my children still, my relatives and stuff. And so I just love what it is, man.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And what I also think is interesting is that you said that this was, like, the Wright Cut is the first barbershop that's on the campus of a major university.
Yes.
I find that, like, very surprising. But that's so cool. I mean, did you think that was going to be something that would be an opportunity to do?
Correct.
You know?
Yeah, so this model here, this is the flagship location. But this model has the opportunity to go on every major campus in the country.
Right.
And truly be the identity and a stomping ground for literally females, males, everything in between, to actually come and get your hair serviced. So this is a brand that's being built. This is a business model. And, you know, we can duplicate that around the country.
Yeah, which I think is so cool and, you know, not something that I would have ever even thought. I mean, that was the first time I ever heard that from you right there. So, but talk to me maybe about stuff that's, like, kind of going on right now. I mean, I every time I was joking with you before we got on here, literally every time I turn on, like, you know, in my Instagram app or whatever, I see a video of you guys, you know, there's barbers basically in every chair. There's a person in every chair. So talk to me about, like, the importance of maybe being here on campus and just there's so much stuff going on over here. I mean, I've only been to Rutgers a few times, even though I'm from New Jersey. But there's so many, you know, foot traffic and all that. Like, how does that, you know, how's that worked for you?
Yeah, so I think it's a blend between being a visionary and being a strategist and also an executor.
Right.
And so me realizing that I had a one-man operation cutting in the locker room of all my teammates. Like, we had 5 cycles. I was at Rutgers for 5 years.
Yeah.
So there was 5 cycles of classes that I was able to bless with a hair service. And literally, man, I mean, I probably cut several hundred people when I was here at school. So I took that, I understood that, and I said, if I can turn this into an 8-man operation on campus, it's a no-brainer in terms of the success that we can see from being in this location. And I mean, from the day one we cut the tape, we had 22 people that got serviced by one barber on day one of opening the shop. And so the walk-in, you know, turnover, the appointments that we use for our system, and just it's just been a blessing. And it's kind of like a bubble within itself, because we're not competing against the other rival barbershops that may be in the you know, the community and general public. It's 100,000 people here on campus that all have hair on top of their head in a sense. So it has to be serviced somewhere. The Wright Cut. Once you get right, you can't go wrong.
I love it. The other thing too that I would, you know, was wondering is when you make that jump. So you're in the NFL, you're rehabbing, you're here. Talk to me maybe about the process that it took to go from being, you know, cutting your teammates and coaches and hair in the locker room or, you know, your dorm room or however that worked, to then, you know, going into the business side. Because this, you know, I know its essence and its core, it's the same. But this is a lot different. This is an actual business.
Yeah. So I joke about this when I think about my journey and my development as a businessman, an entrepreneur. But it was that acumen that I always could visualize what a businessman looked like and what their lifestyle was. And I said, okay, I need a second phone. Okay, I need to study my craft. I need to like tune into the other successful people around the world. It doesn't matter what business they're in. It's the principle of business that really matters. And so I sought after that. I soaked it in like a sponge. I actually, in the NFL, in 2016, they had a class, and it was like, intro to business. And I was able to go out there to Michigan University, and Stephen Ross had a big influence on me because he's the owner of the Dolphins, I believe another franchise, but he's the largest donor for Michigan in terms of the development and the money that he actually put into the school.
Right.
And just hearing him speak that day on the intro of the class, it was transformative. And I just said, I'm already starting this process with building the model, but I just learned so much more throughout that week-long class, and it was a crash course, but I already knew what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I already had the acumen developed because at the age of 13, I'm handling appointments. I'm sacrificing like other things I wanted to do as a kid, but I just know what I loved, and I knew that I had to approach it as a professional and give a quality hair service every time I touch someone's head.
Yeah.
And that's where you build brand. That's where you build loyalty. That's where, you just build the foundation of what you do.
Yeah.
And so, just understanding all those things, I just approached it as a student. And I soak up knowledge even to this day, never getting comfortable and understanding that success is not owned, it's rented, and rent is due every day.
Right.
So you can never get comfortable because that's when things start to occur. That's when, stuff starts slipping. But to bring a full circle and what we've experienced from the pandemic, we've literally, it was no students on campus for about 18 months.
Yeah.
It was rough. Learned a lot. Was able to reflect, whether that's personally and business and everything in between. And starting September, right after Labor Day, classes started, students on campus, it was like a flip of a switch.
Yeah.
And so, that was the value proposition in terms of the folks that can come on the team and they can see the value of how they can grow, the diversity, the type of compensation they can make, and just the opportunity overall.
Yeah.
And we've been able to attract, and now we have all chairs full, 8 chairs spinning, and we just have a whole year in front of us to really make a difference on campus at Rutgers and in the neighboring community.
Yeah. I think it's so great too. And, as you're going through that answer, I think one of the cool things, and like I mentioned, you were on the Morning Spotlight with me. We were talking about Dome Audio and your career in the NFL. We talked a little bit about the Wright Cut. And now that we're talking more about the Wright Cut, one of the things that I really like about you is you're not a half-ass kind of guy. Like if you're going to do something, you're going to whole-ass it.
Exactly.
You're going all in. And that's one of the things that I really like and why I feel like you're having a lot of success right now. So we're going to take our first break of this episode. This is the Greetings from the Garden State podcast. We're here on the campus of Rutgers University at the Wright Cut with Tim Wright himself, Super Bowl champ Tim Wright. We'll make sure we throw that in there.
Throw that in there.
Exactly. I'm Mike Ham. Everybody listening, we'll be right back. It is time for Today in New Jersey History. On October 18th, 1913, a statue now nicknamed Peg Leg Pete was unveiled in front of nearly 6,000 people in Bergen Square in Jersey City. The statue recognizes Peter Stuyvesant, the Director General responsible for the founding of the village of Bergen that is now known as Jersey City over 350 years ago. And that is Today in New Jersey History. Welcome back. This is the Greetings from the Garden State podcast. I'm Mike Ham. We're here on the campus of Rutgers University at the Wright Cut with Tim Wright. Tim, we just went through the whole background, your career in the NFL, and both here at the Wright Cut, and kind of the background of the business. But I kind of want to talk a little bit about things that you've kind of experienced over the 5 years that you've been here. So you told me in the first segment that you just celebrated your 5-year anniversary, so congratulations on that. But maybe as you've kind of progressed through the business, has it changed a lot? Like the way that you approach it, the way that, your involvement level, does that change?
Yeah, so, I do have to really give a lot of credit to the foundation of what the business was built on. And, cutting my hair for 18 years and then a lot of it, in high school at Rutgers, really building a brand and really bringing those values and integrating that into the business. It's held true throughout the 5 years. So that's never wavered. And the model and vision of what the business can produce has only amplified over the years. The amount of people that we've touched, literally we've had 12,000 different unique customers step foot in the Wright Cut and get service.
Right.
And over 35,000 transactions already. Yeah. And we're just scratching the surface. So I've yet to really feel like the business has realized its optimal state of 100%, just everything clicking at once.
Yeah.
And that's where I talked about, never being comfortable and always exploring new things, new promotions, new ways to incentivize the team, new ways to build culture and make it more of a stamp in the community that you're providing a service for. So
Right.
I've learned a lot. And, when I first cut the tape, like I said, having 22 people get serviced by one barber, and then, over the course of time, hiring more barbers and more impact and more consumers. It's just been incredible to witness, but knowing that this one operation can still be expanded in a massive way, in a brand and a story that's so unique and so organic to its truest sense. That's what I'm very excited for. So I want to perfect what this is at this location, the flagship location of where the Wright Cut was built, and really be able to then reverse engineer the vision of the end game to be on every campus in the country, and then start to make that a reality.
I think I know what the answer is, but what makes the Wright Cut different than like your community barbershop? You know what I mean? It's like we're talking about like this business model can work on other campuses. Is it just because you have access to a lot of people all at one time? That's what it is?
So that's where it starts. But truly, the cycle of student classes that comes every year, you have a senior class that leaves, a freshman class that comes in.
Yeah.
So your core demographic of your consumer base is always going to be within that, let's call it 18 to 24-year-old range. But, it just keeps the business youthful. It just keeps that fountain of youth pouring in. And the new hairstyles or things that come about that we see go viral, these are the customers that's actually coming in and requesting that and setting the tempo for what that is.
Yeah.
So it just keeps that youth growing in the environment. And, truly it's the diversity of what a college campus holds. And that's the value proposition that the barbers who come to work for the Wright Cut and come on campus here, they understand that we're seeing every walk of life that can come through this door.
Yeah.
And it's allowing them to grow as a master barber. And that's what they all want to be. They all want to be able to, any type of customer, any type of hair type that comes in, they can actually provide that service and do it in an incredible way.
Right.
Yep.
And I think that that's also interesting too, because like when we're talking about, those differences, for me, I was always when I had hair, and I think a lot of people are like this,
right.
but, they find someone that they like that cuts their hair well, and they go to them forever.
Yeah.
I had someone like that, and then I just was like, what am I doing? But like here, you don't really have that because people graduate they go other places.
That's right.
And then I would imagine also that maybe in the Piscataway community too. Do you connect with them as well? I mean, I'm sure it's not just people here at Rutgers. It's kind of you can expand that a little bit out too.
Absolutely. So we're open to everyone. We have, a base of clients that come in from different parts and different areas of New Jersey. They travel here to get their hair service.
Yeah.
And it's true. When you grew up, you had a barber, you stuck with them. If you moved, you had to find another barber.
Yeah.
So that's evident with this model is because there's kids coming from around the world to Rutgers University. They need a barber all of a sudden, and now they can find a home for the next 4 or 5 years. If they happen to, live here after school, they could continue to come here as well. So I think that's where the inevitable shift happens, where you come here as a student or a faculty, you work here, you're on campus, you need someone, you need that service, and it's conveniently located right here.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
So we've touched on it too, like expanding into other campuses, and the model can move. And I know that we can't get into like specifics,
right.
But as you've kind of progressed into expanding and going maybe to other campuses and all that, is there something that like what has the reception been? Maybe is it positive?
Absolutely.
Is it skeptical? How does that work?
Yeah, I think it's a multi-layered value proposition. So the proof of concept is solidified. The brand, in a sense, is solidified, and now we can amplify it to get the awareness of other campus, whether they're on the committee, the board of the school, or they're down to the students. Hey, you seen that brand? Hey, you seen that, the Wright Cut on a Jumbotron at the football game? Like, what if our campus had a barbershop? That'd be everything for us. We don't have to go off campus. We're right here.
Yeah.
And so the value proposition for students, the value proposition for if, the partnership or the endorser or folks who want to buy into the model from a franchise standpoint, that's there. The value proposition for the barbers and the service providers and the stylists, that's there because of the diversity.
Sure.
And I just think that it brings a tremendous value to the university or the campus and college that we're going to, because it's a heartbeat, it's a cornerstone, it's a culture. And that's what this is built on. So, I think it's a multi-layered value proposition.
Yeah. Also, talk to me a little bit about, this is one of our launch episodes, like I mentioned. So this is going to be one of the first 3 episodes that launches. And we're talking to a lot of other people that own businesses for future episodes, that own restaurants, that own bakeries, that own, other small businesses like that. And I think that one of the things that has been a constant, theme throughout each of those episodes has been, just a general lack of workers. Like the labor shortage is obviously something that's affecting everybody. But then, like we were talking before we even started recording, that you're hiring people.
Yep.
Has that been something that you've had to contend with, or is that just something that it just didn't affect you as much?
Yeah. So I think the foundation of survival is your integrity, your relationships. That's been a core here at Rutgers in terms of the Rutgers management in relation to the businesses here on campus, especially as it pertains to the Wright Cut.
Yeah.
That held true. And then I think it's the foundation of the business that still allows to have it a heartbeat, and then to be able to take that and then go out and we'll just cut it for what it is, sell the opportunity to people who are looking for it.
Yeah.
And so I think when the students came back on campus and everything opened back up, it was a no-brainer for people to say, listen, we're turning away 20 to 30 walk-ins a day because we couldn't service it at that point of just starting school again. And all of a sudden, people see it for what it is, and it's a no-brainer. Yeah. So I think, the elements of why this business can thrive, we're seeing it in real time, and that's where we are today.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yep.
All right, so we're going to take our second break, our last break of this episode. That was another fantastic segment.
Awesome.
This is the Greetings from the Garden State podcast. I'm Mike Ham. We're here on the campus of Rutgers University at the Wright Cut with Super Bowl champ Tim Wright.
Yes, sir.
We will be right back. It is time for your New Jersey fun fact of the day. Did you know that the first game of baseball played with modern rules was played in Hoboken, New Jersey? That is your New Jersey fun fact of the day. What's up, everybody? We're back here on the Greetings from the Garden State podcast. I'm Mike Ham. He's Tim Wright. We're on the campus of Rutgers University. Almost messed that up somehow. I've only said it 6 times already at the Wright Cut. So we've gone through the background of the business. We've kind of gone through your background. We've gone through things that are kind of going on now over the last 5 years of the business being open, and maybe some future stuff for the business.
Right.
Let's talk about the community, because we've touched on it quite a bit, and obviously you're on a college campus, on the campus of a university, and I think that obviously there's clear tie-ins to this community.
Correct.
But talk to me maybe about the relationship that the Wright Cut has with Rutgers, the actual university itself, and why that's so important.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So it starts with myself. And what I was able to solidify over the 5 years that I went to school here, 2008 to 2012. And like I said, the principles of integrity, your character, the brand that you build, and the foundation it's built on, people can see right through it for what it is.
Yeah.
There's no gray area, it's black and white.
Right.
And once you bring a value proposition to the larger sense of the population and the community of Rutgers, that's why it was a no-brainer to open this establishment right here in the heart of campus, and one that could be a value across the country, as we talked about. But, being able to connect with your consumer base, with your market, having friendly promotions that can drive business and drive interest, having loyalty programs that can then keep them recurring as customers, and then doing things that far outreaches the 4 walls of the business, and going out and touching the community with events that you have, food drives or platforms where students can also participate in what you're doing. That's where I think it really connects the community from the outside, that brings them indoors, and then it's a reciprocal exchange at that point.
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those things too where you could have started this anywhere. You know,
That's right.
And you said you grew up in Neptune,
Neptune,
right? You could have
yes,
started
sir.
in Neptune.
Exactly.
Been like, I'm going to open up a community barbershop, but instead you came here.
Right.
And I think that it's just so interesting because we've talked about it a ton in this episode, and you just answered it. But like the connection that you have with the community, and it's basically like everybody rowing the boat in the same direction.
In the same direction.
And
right.
I think that that's so important for the school, for the community, for you, for everybody. And it just seems that it's working.
Yes.
Which is fantastic.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
No question.
One of the other things too, and we're going to get more into the community outreach as we kind of progress through this segment, but you have the barber school,
Yes.
which I think is just another very interesting way to kind of connect with aspiring barbers.
Yes.
And then it's almost, this could be not the right reason, but
Right.
it's almost maybe like a funnel too.
Yeah.
For you have a pool of people that you can pull from
Absolutely.
to staff your establishment. So talk to me a little bit about setting that up
Yeah.
and why that was an important part of this whole process.
Correct. So that was an integral piece in starting it off, and really finding the talent and finding hungry students who wanted an opportunity. So off the bat, I just have to, share my love and props to Innovate Barber Salon Academy and also Robert Fiance. Those are two schools that's located in New Jersey. They have several locations, but just the what they produce there within their student body, the educators that come and instruct there and get them ready for real world opportunities. They all are thirsting for, as soon as they graduate and even before that, once they get permitted, to going into an establishment where they're investing in their career. They're paying for school to get educated and do things the right way. And so for us to have a platform here at the Wright Cut where we do everything right, everything is permitted, everything is licensed, everything is handled like a very professional business.
Right.
That is the big vision in mind, and reverse engineering that to your first location and doing it right. That sets the precedent of everything else that you do as you go for big scale. And so knowing that the location was, here on a college campus, I knew the volume was one thing that we would never have to worry about.
Yeah.
When you go into certain locations in communities, you realize that those barbershops or hair salons, they're really just competing and fighting over the same people.
Yeah.
Here we have new people coming every single day that's never been here and that's looking for a place they can call home for the next 4 years of their, time here at Rutgers.
Yeah.
And so just having those outlets of barbers that, are in those academies that's right near the school is just phenomenal because we can go out there and we can show them what we do. You can step foot in here and you can sense it right away as soon as you walk in the doors. And that's what we're about. The repetition, the just turning it over, doing the same thing over and over again successfully in the right way. And just the proof of concept of what we have is what we lay our hat on.
Do you do it here, like right here in the shop?
So we've brought classes here. We've reached out to the school through our relationships.
Yep.
And they brought their students right in here to see it in real time happening. And, a mixture of them coming in individually as well is what they're able to see in real time.
Yeah, awesome. And then the other thing, too, that we were going to talk about with the community side of it was maybe does the community relationship expand beyond just Rutgers?
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about that and why
Correct.
that's also important rather than just staying here in your little bubble at the university.
Correct. No, the outreach is very important. And in 2015, me and my family established our family foundation called the Right Way Academy. And so it's a 501c3, obviously tax deductible and all that stuff. And we put that in place so that we can reach the community in a mass amount of ways. So it's a very broad foundation, but our focus and mission is to impact the way folks experience life and the quality of life that they have. And so where we could provide resources, platforms, education, instruction, touching the community through a food drive, and then going out on the field and not only teaching you how to play the sport you play, but bringing you into the classroom and showing you why that's important.
Right.
Stepping foot in a barbershop and showing you why the community of people who, circulate this university, circulate the neighboring towns around that can come into one place and get a synergistic type of environment and a positive environment that then pours back out into the community. So
Right.
I understand that this world evolves, together, and it's a collection of individual people that live in their own homes, but then you go out into society, and it's how do you conduct yourself?
Yeah.
What are the influences of that, and what are the resources and platforms that can make you better at whatever you aspire to be or do.
Right.
And so that's what the foundation is focused on, and that's what we're able to bring here at the Wright Cut and all the community around.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's awesome. Was that something that what was like the impetus behind starting that? Like, what made you decide, like, hey, we're going to set up a foundation, we're going to just help people?
Yep.
Was it just, like, talk to me a little bit about
so
that?
it was basically a culmination of me being influenced by so many people growing up. Like I said, it was my immediate family, but it was coaches, it was guidance counselors, it was teachers, it was just, local mentors and dads of other, friends that I had. Most importantly, my father pouring into me and understanding, like, the core of integrity and character is very important.
Yeah.
Hard work is one that connects everything together and connecting dots and being a resource. And I wanted to be that person that brought that back together because that's what brought me up and that's what gave me the opportunity. So I wanted to give that to others as well.
Right. Yeah, and which is awesome. So if people are listening to this episode, maybe they're students here at Rutgers and they are somehow unaware that you guys exist,
Yes.
or they're part of the community, or they're just interested in learning more. So let's do first. We'll hit the websites and then we'll kind of go through maybe how the process works.
Yes.
So what's the website? Where can they go?
So we use a system called Square, which a lot of people may be familiar with, but you can go right on www.therightcut.net to book your appointment seamlessly, learn more about the story. Of course, you could submit an application for internship or a working opportunity to come in this environment and get, everything we offer.
Yeah.
But you could follow us on Instagram at TWCBS. And as you said, Mike, you've seen a lot of activity on there, so we're just going to we're going to continue to blow that out and show the world, show the campus, show the community what we're about and what we have here. Of course, you could follow me on Instagram at TimWright81.
Yep.
And those are pretty much all the ways to reach us. And you could connect with us by walking in and seeing what we have as well.
Do you need an appointment? You could just walk right in, right?
It's walk-ins and appointments. So I would recommend appointment so that you can solidify your spot, but walk-ins are totally available.
And then do you also see, we just went through this whole thing, but also, maybe like choosing a barber, like if you find somebody that you really like and you can do something like that, I would imagine too, right?
So we, that's where we tag all of the barbers within the framework of the business so you can see their individual pages and their body of work to be able to choose like who you may want to go to.
Yeah.
But of course, the demand is so crazy that sometimes you just got to fit in with who you fit in. And we're big about just developing and evolving our barbers as well. So giving them the education to get their skills more and more and more at the higher level. So that's what we're about.
Yeah, which I also think is another thing that's interesting because a lot of times when you see businesses and they're posting about staff, whether it's a barbershop or whatever, a lot of times they don't tag the people that are actually working there. And ultimately, like, that's who the clientele, that's who they have the relationships with. So the more you're able to indoctrinate them with those people, I think that would create an even stronger relationship, which was one of the things that I thought was really cool as I'm seeing all these things that you're doing.
Absolutely.
You're like always tagging people in the stories and the posts, like you're always putting, them first because obviously they're the drivers of this business.
Correct. Absolutely. Yeah,
awesome.
It's very important.
Yeah, definitely. All right, cool. So I think we hit everything. Did we miss anything important?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah, we captured it, Mike.
We definitely captured it for sure.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. So we hit them with the links. We hit them with the Instagram handle. So make sure that we put those in the show notes. So if you guys do want to learn more about what Tim has going on here at the Wright Cut, you can definitely check that out. Tim, second episode with you, first one on this new podcast. Cannot thank you enough for doing this with me.
Yes.
This was awesome. The barber chair still feels a little bit weird to me after the last year, but yeah, I mean, maybe I can get comfortable. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll
we'll get you right. Hey, once you get right, you can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong.
So,
I love it.
Stop by, brother.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Mike.
Yeah, thank you,
Appreciate
man.
it,
And everybody else, thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Yes, sir. Take care, everybody.